Okay, well, welcome back to our friends and screenprint family, especially those in Australia. It's been a long while. We don't have a guest again, largely down to me. Apologies for that. Well, I won't go on about my diary, but a lot of commitments, as I know Josh has as well as the guests. So it is hard to tee things up, but I'm sure we'll make it happen. And this is an occasional podcast, so it's not doesn't happen every week, but it happens when it can. So apologies for that. Anyway, we're back this week, just the two of us. We thought we'd have a wee blather, catch up, see where we're at and what's going on. What's been going on for you, Josh?
It's been a big week over here.
Oh yeah.
Um, just said yes to a few rush jobs and didn't really kind of miscalculated how much time jobs would take.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's yeah, it's just been heaps of production and now I'm heaps of all the other stuff that I have to do.
So when you say you miscalculated, what do you think happened? What went wrong? Or you just wanted to squeeze it all in, or
I
what?
was like, oh yeah, we were just I guess saying yes so we could do it.
Yeah.
Um, for one of the jobs we didn't expect to be so big. It was sort of like a we planned it ahead of time, but it was for there's the rugby grand final, rugby union grand final, and we were going to do some like supporter shirts for one of the clubs, um, and we sort of had a bit of a guess about how many they would um, sell, and they end up selling a lot more.
Okay.
Um, and then I also said yes to a just a last minute job. Last we could do a contract job, 200 hats with a logo on the front and both. Um, I'm sure I heard him say it was in 2 weeks' time,
Right.
but it turns out it was due today. Um, so that in my head, I was like, oh yeah, we've got a fair bit going on at the start of the week and at the end of the week. Kind of fill in the middle of the week nice and easy, but we had all sorts of like trouble and digitizing, and it ended up being yeah some big days to get it done. So it's the main
And
thing.
did you get it all sorted? Like do you feel like you're still playing catch up now that you've got that done, or you managed to catch up with the rest of it as well?
It's just just the emails and quoting that I have to do now, but we got all the stuff we needed to out on time. I did a 35-hour day, started Tuesday morning and finished Wednesday afternoon.
Oh
So I've done some big days before, but that's probably takes the cake, I guess.
man, you
But
probably get jet lag from that. That's
yeah,
insane.
that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel too bad. I didn't feel like tired necessarily. I just started sort of making a few silly mistakes and being a bit slow, which is probably a bit understandable. But um, yeah, it shouldn't have taken that long. But that day, it was just endless issues. I started at like 5:30 and pretty early, but we're sort of just trying to dial in the digitizing so that we could embroider all things in one hooping on the hat. Um, but it's just yeah, then yeah, there's just a few issues, and then the machine was playing up, and it just stopped after there. We had Kate was here; she does most of our embroidery, and the 7 hours she was there on Tuesday with both of us like playing with it. We did five hats, five usable hats,
Wow, that's
300.
stressful.
So that's why I ended up going all night. But
But you feel like we do sometimes when you've got, you know, one embroidery machine in your case, and we have none, but like you're entirely reliant on this one machine.
mm,
And when something goes wrong, it's like, okay, our entire production's had to stop. It's
yeah,
pretty nerve-wracking.
it's a
Yeah.
bit of a worry. Um, yeah, and it was just silly things like he shouldn't have been doing that necessarily, but um, it's it seems like embroidery is easy, but sometimes it just yeah had a few issues to start, and then was yeah, the way it was digitized, um, and the way the Barradon machines trim, there's like a two-stage trim, um, and when it does the first stage, it comes out past the sewing arm, and it caught on the hat a couple times in the mesh, which moved like the knife adjustment. But then after that, they just were all like, I did it like maybe twice or three times before we changed the digitizing, so it didn't do that. It just got all the out of whack. Um, yeah, we got there in the end.
Yeah, stressful,
Yeah.
stressful. It does seem there's a kind of law in the universe, isn't it? That when you're in a hurry or you've got too much on or you got to fit in some extra jobs, things go wrong. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
sort of you can almost just count on it happening, it seems. Okay, and how about the rest of life? I mean, I hesitate to ask, but you're half moved last time we
Yeah.
spoke.
So update on the move. We're moving again.
Okay. Again, as
Um,
in somewhere different.
somewhere different. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That it wasn't really planned and we want to, but it sort of worked out that way, and I think it'll be um better run. But yeah, it was just
Did you have to break a lease to move? Like, how did
no.
that
We've
work?
just been a month since we only started out with subleasing like a two-room sort of in December, and just had like showroom and office here. Um, so it was a like wasn't that formal. It was just sort of a casual agreement, and then we were taking over the whole thing. Um, but because the guy we're taking over from, we were taking it over because he was moving out, purchasing a property with a big shed on it. So they didn't need the actual shed part here anymore. So we're just going to keep subleasing from him, um, thing, and then the sale all fell through. So he still needed that
Okay.
shed. We just
Okay.
had a pretty expensive office, and um, yeah, bit was pretty much and waiting until we could have that shed space, which would make this place really good.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it sort of was dragging on. But then this this auto came online, was an awesome price. Everyone probably saw it on Facebook. So it was like, oh, we should grab that. So I started sort of thinking about it. I was like, if we get it, we'd have to put it and get it sort of producing, because it's still it was a good price, but it's still like got to be paying for itself, I guess.
Yeah.
So I started just um, looking around online or whatever. Bloke I know from when I was younger is a commercial agent, and I gave him a ring and said, "Hey, you don't happen to like have anything that's like not listed at the moment around the place?" He's like, "Oh, actually, there's this shed coming up for lease at the end of this month or the following month." I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." So this is like a Wednesday. Um, so we booked into the Tuesday, the following Tuesday, and in the meantime, we started sort of looking at some finance options, and that was like a day and a half or 2 days flat. It was super quick. So I was
Wow.
like, oh yeah, well, whatever. Like we don't need to move. Just I've got my honeymoon end of next month, so I was like, we'll do that and then see what happens. But I already had the booked in, so I went to it anyway, and had a look through. It was really good sort of rate production space to sort of office kind of space. Um, and then I was like, oh yeah, like don't necessarily need it. But I was confirming the prices, and this is the price. And I was like, because he mentioned the price when I first spoke to him, and I thought it was a bit dearer, but it's a bit less than what we pay now, just for like an office
Okay.
pretty much, but for like
Wow.
a lot more space.
Wow, what a
Um,
gift.
and it would save sort of like close to 30% on our rent, as supposed like our rent had gone up once we took over the shed space where we are currently. So it would save us sort of 30% a year on rent by moving there. I was like, oh, bit of a no-brainer then. So
Yeah.
um, going to do one more move, and hopefully we'll be sitting there for the.
And are you going to move it all in one go, or are you going to, because before the strategy was to get the office and art and embroidery and then move to the printing press in later. Yeah,
I think we're just going to smash it. Yeah.
yeah,
Last time we moved it, it all happened pretty quickly. Um, the machine's easy to get to here because last time was from home, so I had to sort of it was a bit harder to machine from the shed out the back sort of thing. So I think yeah, I think we'll smash it out pretty easily to the new place. Yeah.
wow. And what do you think in terms of timing on that?
Uh,
Say again?
we're going to do it late next week, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of when I was putting all the stuff in for the lease, I was trying to time when we would actually finish our current lease, new one, and then move. And I was like, I don't really want to pay like an extra month on either place that I don't need to.
Mm.
And with us going away end of next for 2 weeks, it kind of only left uh, sort of like taking it over from September and moving like end of the month sort of thing. So we just put in this all sort of started at the um, put in our month. We just needed a month notice.
Yeah.
Put that in. Yeah, so it's all happened pretty quickly, but that's probably why I've been saying yes to so many jobs. I wasn't really didn't expect to pay like a couple months worth of bond and extra um I like up and stuff. So I'm like, shit, now I gotta make some money so I can
Yeah.
pay for it, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's good that that came in the timing. And I didn't see that press that you're talking about. Did you actually purchase it?
no, someone else got it, but we did start awesome um awesome kit for someone to buy. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Okay. What was it out of interest?
It was an 8 color task um, with pretty good, I think, pro oven, pretty long one, um, and a bunch of other stuff down in Victoria. But I think 37 or something plus
All right.
around that price,
Okay.
um, which yeah seems pretty good considering. Seemed in pretty good nick, a bit more looked after than some you see.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Wow. And I guess they are coming up, more than usual. People
Mm.
are, it seems, I mean, as far as anyone can ever tell, right? You speak to old Howard or someone, um, it does seem a lot of people are actually closing down or going bust.
Mm.
Maybe there's a combo of those, if that makes sense. And that machinery is more available. So I'm sure something else will come up.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow, it's absolutely full on for you then, mate.
Yeah, it's been yeah, and then we've got to go on our honeymoon which next
Yeah.
month, which is I'm looking forward to. It'd be good, but yeah, you know what it's like. Still, it's a bit as
Yeah.
excited as I am. Still, yeah.
Are you going to be able to run the shop while you're away? Like, or are you just going to shut like your colleagues so they're going to keep it going, or are you going to shut the whole thing down? Or
They can do pretty much everything else. It's just sales stuff, um, which I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. But, like they could maybe teach our graphic designer to do sort of like the kind of quoting. Um, but I might just have to say like be it sort of be that sort of time once we get back. It might be a little bit slower because I can get as much work as I can before we leave. So they can just do production and stuff while I'm away, and
yeah,
might just be a bit slow when we get back. There's
yeah,
probably not much we can do too much, I guess.
yeah,
And I'll try and work in the early mornings or something while I'm overseas.
Yeah. Where is it you're going again?
Japan.
Right.
Mm,
Wonderful.
that
Wow.
should be pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's a good thing about living down here is you can do a lot of Southeast Asian trips very easily.
Mm.
Um, Compared to where I come from in Britain, it's much, much, much more accessible. I remember when one of my kids went on a mission trip in year 13 to Fiji, and was chatting to some people back in Britain, just saying, "Oh, Lydia's off on a trip to Fiji," and they were like, "Whoa, Fiji, man! How long does it take to get there?" And I was like, "Well, not as long as you might think."
Oh, I guess you go the other way, like
But from here, like,
heading,
yeah, from Britain, it's mental,
yeah,
right? It's insane.
west.
Yeah. Well, no, they go east from Britain, but
Okay.
just like conceptually, for Brits, Fiji is like, way out there. But for Australia, it's really only 5 or 6 hours maybe on
Yeah.
a flight. So yeah, it's good. Is that your first time to Japan?
Yeah.
You'll love it, man.
Have you been?
Yeah, a long time ago now, but yeah,
Okay.
it's a remarkable place. As so many places are.
Mm.
Um, and so I had a question, and again, it's one of those things that's really hard to work out, how it's going for others. It doesn't sound like it's happened to you, but for us, sales dipped quite markedly. Things have turned now, or it seems that way. But we actually didn't make our target last month. We didn't miss out too much, but I think in the end we're about 40K out, or just over 40K, which was a bit of a shock. We keep a kind of running tally each year, got one of those graphs that says, "Hey,
Hmm.
you're growing." Yeah, and I wondered maybe people listening would be keen to kind of let us know whether they're experiencing a downturn in sales. It does seem to have bounced back, and sometimes I think when you're between, almost between the kind of hoodie,
Mm.
t-shirt, market switching because of weather, things go a wee bit stale for a while. But I wasn't really expecting it. But then the weather's been very strange, isn't it? Um, Had a friend over from the UK. I want to talk about that actually. Um, and we spent a couple of days in Sydney. This is 2 weeks ago now. And it was like 25 degrees,
Hmm.
He was like, "Oh, wow, summer." And I was like, "Wow, spring." Um, but yeah, it's kind of bit warm for
Mm.
August. Um, so that might have affected things. But yeah,
I
did you
I'd
feel like
say
you've experienced something like that?
yeah, probably late last month, early this month. It's only sort of the last week or two. To, um, and I'd say probably it's more. It wouldn't be customers that we're doing. It's sort of existing customers that we do a bit of stuff with. Um, yeah, and a bit of mixed stuff. So like we're doing a bunch of bags for one of the oil and gas places we look after, and um, but yeah, I'd say overall at the start of the month, I sort of had kind of caught up on all the stuff I needed to do, which I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But I've mentioned it sort of to a couple of people, and they said the same. We were sort of discussing it and thinking maybe it was the same thing, that like it's just a bit of an awkward time um, of the year, like between seasons, like you said, or um, but I also don't have that many uh, under my belt for when the slow times are. Really, I think October was pretty last year for some reason. Um, but yeah, probably lucky with uh, a few options with like embroidery or um, a little bit of stuff too.
mm, mm. Yeah. It's hard to predict, like anything, I guess. But I guess I'm always slightly anxious. Is DTF having a marked effect on the screen print industry?
Mm.
With lots of people setting up. but it's interesting. One to watch. See how the
Thing,
rest of the year
um,
pans out.
mm, I've I had to duck down to Brizzy Thursday to pick up some stuff because they weren't going to arrive in time, and I was sort of catching up some podcasts and stuff. I was listening to a few of the Printavo ones, and there seems to be a lot of stuff at the moment, like people sort of consolidating or closing up and that sort of thing, which is
Mm.
interesting. I think, yeah, I think a few more people are find it harder than they probably less, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I think what you see when that happens in most industries is the really big people wobbling,
Mm-hmm.
um, like and the really small people wobbling. It's usually the people in the middle that tend to grow a bit and survive. I guess that's not true across all industries, but I don't know if you have a turnover, let's say of 100 million, and your profit's a million, sounds
Mm-hmm.
like a really tasty profit. Um, but if you make a couple of bad business decisions or have a few dips or lose a few important customers, you've still got a turnover of, let's say, 90 million,
Mm-hmm.
but your profit might be zero, right? So suddenly it doesn't take long to kind of go negative if
Yeah.
you can't move quickly, if your business can't be agile, particularly with laying people off, it can cause a business to go real quick. And then at the other end of the spectrum, the smaller people, I think, by which I mean people that can't get the work. So maybe someone's still in their garage, I don't know. But the overheads are obviously less in that scenario, but perhaps their brand presence isn't so big or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That work has got to go somewhere, you know. So it tends to go to those people in the middle, I think, that are bigger than us at least,
Mm-hmm.
that benefit from that because their brand's out there. But yeah, it's one to watch without a doubt. Um, we're quite keen to look more at DTF. Well, they've had some really big issues with DTF lately. Won't say which company we've been using, but I don't know. Maybe I'm guessing we probably do, I don't know, probably half a dozen to a dozen DTF jobs a week. And just in the last couple of weeks, there's been some really crummy transfers coming through with issues with them not being gluing
Mm-hmm.
correctly, so they don't stick well. Some actual issues within the print. We've gone back to that vendor and said, what's the go? Have you guys lost a bit of quality? And they assure us they haven't. But anyway, I'm really keen to kind of work out how big that industry can get, and before the customers start to go, hang on a minute, this isn't a screen print, doesn't look quite so good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, shall I tell you what's happened to us? Because a
Yeah.
few things I hope will be interesting to people. So shout out to my man Paul Smith in the UK. So Paul Smith is the proud owner of the Ministry of Shirts UK. He came over at the end of July for a few weeks and basically shadowed me um, from that point forward until pretty much got on the plane. We did have a couple of
Mm-hmm.
days out at port actually, which was quite nice. Port Macquarie, for those that don't know port, and then we went to Sydney. So that was amazing from a number of reasons. One, just seeing my mate, catching up with him, but spending that much time reflecting again on starting a screen print or apparel decoration business from ground zero to getting him up and running was really fruitful for me because obviously I've done this, but with zero knowledge about the industry, right? So now I've got a little tiny fragmental level of understanding about it. It was really good to kind of reflect about how I would do it now. And but also the other thing that was good was in a sense it gave me some confidence. I might know a little bit about it, but also just how much goes into what we do, that we forget about. And when someone that comes and sits with you and has never done any of this at all before, you suddenly go, wow, yeah, okay, I guess that isn't that simple. Yeah, wow, we do a lot of that. Oh yeah, okay. And his eyes were just, out on stalks. He loved it. He really was into it. We got him doing a little bit of screen printing, but a lot of DTF, which is where he's starting. And so he's gone back. He's a happy camper. He's got a lot to do. He officially starts on the 1st of September. So it's literally got a week. But everything's almost ready. There's a few more bits he's got to get going. And the brand is live there. So we have we don't run a YouTube channel there, but we run all the other social media that we'd run here in the website and everything, which has obviously been tinkered and tailored for the UK market. So keen to see how that goes. But that also took my mind away from everything I normally do. And so I found that hard. But fortunately, that was when things started to go quiet. And Lydia came through. We do this meeting every Thursday morning. We call it the PPQ meeting, where Martini and Lydia and I just sit and look at, what's coming in the next month and look through the system that we run in Monday. And with Monday, we have, these are the things we're printing this week. This is next week. And this is the stuff that's pipelined. And it's always a job of moving things around. All right, okay, we can actually get that quick 1 color job in between that 6 color and that 5 color or whatever it is. And we were doing that. And Lydia was like, yeah, have you seen how many there are in the pipeline? Because it's normally like, this is this week, this is next week, and then there's always this big chunk coming through. But it didn't look like that. It's like the pipeline was like, hang on a minute, that's really empty. Let's look at the staging area. Okay, right, that's only got a few orders. So it was kind of like scary, but the timing of it was, and that's fixed now, obviously, but the timing of it was quite good in that I could spend time with Paul going through all of this, but it did mean that the accounts and all the other kind of strategic stuff we do fell by the wayside, including getting our new deals ready and updating a few of our sites. But it was good. It was good to have him. It was good to go through it. He's a great buddy. He's my best mate. And yeah, I'm hoping he'll really hit the ground running in a week and a bit. The other exciting news is that our building is being built.
Like I've been mystical building for a long time.
It's yeah, and it was meant to be ready June last year, right? June
Yeah.
23. So it's been depressing, but anyway, eventually the crane came and lifted all the walls in, and they're now doing the drainage. So I've been in there a couple of times and did a bit of measuring up and talking to the builders about what we want. So it's exciting, and we're sort of roughly talking about an entry of the beginning of December, and we'll see it. I'm pretty determined. I'm not going to give up my Christmas, and our shutdown period is 2 weeks at Christmas there, and just need a break. So hopefully we'll be in, and we'll have that quiet time in January, perhaps to kind of, fix the snagging that comes up and get things running again. But one of the hardest things has been working out the electrics. If we want to put 4 autos in there, which we can get, have we got enough electricity for that if we keep going with fully electric presses? Because man, they consume a lot of power, these machines. You got 2 or 3 flashes on an auto, suddenly you haven't got a whole lot of power. So anyway, I'm excited about that. Every day we look out and see what's going on and see it, because it's literally, you've been here, you could throw a cricket ball to it from here. And so it's kind of nice to kind of keep a watching brief, but yeah, it's good to see that start. So I had a question for you. I've got some listener questions today. What's the time? Yeah, we'll get to those. But I've been kind of collecting them for a while. I had some questions for you though. Oh yeah. promo products. You do promo products as well, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you do? What actual products?
It's it's something new. It's a bit. There's a lot of companies out there. It's pretty saturated almost because it's so easy
Mm,
to it. Like, um, so I guess, and a lot of places already pick their promo place. So it's it's a bit harder trying to get people to also do that kind of stuff too. Um, but yeah, it's easy money really if you can get if you can get the orders.
mm.
Um, but that is, yeah, there's just like, because no one touches the stock generally. Um, you're sort of competing with people who are just like doing it from home kind of thing. Um, but yeah, it's as I suppose product wise that we usually do. It's sort of um, like a laser engraved mug. Uh, we've done some pens, um, stubby coolers. We're doing some interesting ones now. We're doing some like torches, uh,
Wow.
and a cup and like a barbecue set. Um, yeah, it is different, and it's a lot more. Yeah, it's just different, I guess. Um, yeah, it's a different world, I guess.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I was looking, we've started, that's the
Hmm.
reason for asking. Um, and it started because a customer wanted a particular backpack, had to be this particular one, and I couldn't convince them to use anything else.
Hmm.
So I went to that company and said, you know, can we get an account just to buy these backpacks?
Yep.
And then I realized they were a promo company, and I said, oh, why don't we get an account with you doing promo? And I looked at the rates compared to, like, a lot of people going to places like Vistaprint, right?
Hmm.
And man, Vistaprint must be making a colossal margin on things,
Uh-huh. I
for,
haven't looked at this as really, to be honest.
yeah, I know they're pretty expensive. So we're starting to run a few lines and just to see what works. Our
Hmm.
market's different in that a lot of your customers are businesses, so promo stuff for them is a no-brainer in a way, but a lot of ours are sort of churches.
Uh-huh.
We do a lot of businesses as well. I guess it's probably 60% of our revenue comes from churches at a guess. So I'm keen to sort of try it out and see how it goes. Because a lot of that's recurring revenue. I come back every year.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but man, there's a lot of product out there.
The trouble is just trying to pick the right ones, or just even like, yeah, with that customer who just did some stuff or doing some stuff for now. They're like, oh, we've got this budget from this company as like to spend on their crew, reward for safety or whatever. Uh, pick us pick some options for us. Like, well, there's like tens of thousands of different things.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's probably the hardest part, is just trying to figure out what you're gonna to someone, to even look at doing. Yeah, that's I'd say that's the thing. It's just a different, it's a bit of a learning curve, learning which ones are the sort of for different industries almost, or what people would actually like, and the different price ranges of what people actually want to spend, for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I
Um,
asked the company, I won't mention who they are, but I asked them, what are your top sellers? And I was on the phone and the
mhm.
lady just kind of laughed. She said, go and have a look, like, I was like, well, surely you can tell me what your top sellers are.
Uh-huh.
And they said, oh, some of the drink bottles and some of the umbrellas. But man, I think there are 16,000 products on in the company that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
It is tricky, and I don't want to sell pens, to be blunt.
Mm-mm.
With a margin of 50 cents or less, it just is too much hassle. So I'm trying to work out not the luxury end, but getting into the space where there's a decent similar margin maybe to a t-shirt
Mm-hmm.
in terms
I
of
think
what.
that's the hard part, is there's such quite cheap items. So it's like how much can you
Mm,
make out of that while still keep affordable or competitive with the options online, but still make it worth your time,
mm,
I guess.
yeah, it's worth trying. Try it out. We did do some a while ago, but I just didn't have the time to really push it. But they were the low end things,
Mm-hmm.
like bottle openers and stubby holders and so on. But also, if you deal with the companies that are too big, the minimum order quantity is like 250.
Mm-hmm.
Most small businesses don't want to buy 250 stubby holders. So
Yeah.
tying up way too much money for that. Yeah, okay. Well, watch this space. We'll see what grows in that area. Be interested to know if any other screen printers in Australia are doing any promo stuff, what you're doing and what works, what doesn't work. Um, it's certainly a good way to add something to the portfolio. Um, just got a list here of what we're doing. Yeah, water bottles, drinkware, mugs, umbrellas and bags at the moment.
The
So
bags, we've done a surprising amount of bags, to be honest.
really,
Um, yeah.
like
So
backpack type bags.
yeah, a fair few backpacks, more like duffel bags and stuff. With the like sort of FIFO type companies that we do stuff for, that seems to be pretty good for them. And
Okay.
there's some pretty sweet margins on them too. Like
Yeah,
if they're going for like a better quality, they see the retail price and they send it to you, and then you see what you can get it for. And you're like, oh, all right, sweet,
yeah. So you can
pretty cool.
undercut. But I also noticed there's a kind of luxury end for the corporate market, like
Mm-hmm.
headphones, for example.
Mm,
I mean, they're obviously expensive items.
yeah, I haven't.
Wireless.
I put that towards the other customer actually, is the headphones, but haven't we don't have really corporate customers yet. But it is actually, talking about promo products. You probably would have seen merch's ads and stuff online.
Yeah,
Um, I bet they must be selling or doing some sort of thing where you can buy into it, sort of thing, like invest in it.
yeah,
And it's been interesting. I've been getting all the ads for that now, but interesting seeing their sort of um, their revenue and stuff being a more promo side of things for a company that's only sort of 2 years old. I think they said they did like 1.5 million in the first year, and they did 3 in the
three.
second,
Yeah,
which is interesting. I think one of the founders like was a silent partner type thing. Started like Temple and Webster, so I think they've got like bigger companies, I guess. Um, but yeah, it's interesting seeing one like that sort of rise so quickly. But um, yeah, just different things to think about.
yeah. And the key thing I'm most interested in, because at the end of the day, all of those products are basically the same. Doesn't matter
Mm,
what company you go to. I mean, there might be some variances, and a lot of it is outsourced. Some of it's done in house. I suspect that company that you're mentioning, I've seen their adverts every second. It does my head in.
yeah,
And their style of advert sort of annoys me a bit, but that's just a personal thing. Um, what I'm interested in, I suspect they're outsourcing, to be
yeah,
blunt.
100%. Yeah,
Um, but I'm interested in how you interface with them, what the business process is, what kind of technology they're able to offer you, and so on. And at the moment, none of them really have that dialed in. And that I think is where they're missing the trick. because they're then basically they're going to companies like us that have a customer base and saying, hey, we want to market our products to your customers through you. Here's your healthy profit margin if you want to go for it. And I get that model. That's a normal business model, but I want to kind of say to them, yeah, 100%. Where's your software? Oh, well, we make it easy for you to buy. Yeah, right. So I've now got to invest a ton of money in making it easy for my customer to buy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're still the middle people that are interfacing. Whereas if you could transact that kind of business online without human interaction or not so much, then the profit margin would be colossal. So I did wake up at 3 a.m. thinking, oh, if we did this and that and that and this, we could, you know. I came to work and spoke to one of my colleagues about it, and they were like, have you started another business, like at 3 a.m. So I was like, no, we're just going to add a few products to what we currently do. But I definitely think it's a big one. It could go somewhere, but we'll see. But yeah, I did a wee list in amongst the 16,000 products. So headphones, speakers, like good quality stuff, wireless chargers. Some of the stuff that these guys print on is also really big branded, like Camelback, for example, was one of them. Obviously, that's super high end. So that's a pretty neat thing that they're able to rebrand that stuff because it brings brand association. So let's say, I don't know, one of the companies that sell outdoor clothing came on to you as a customer and said, we'd like you to print these or whatever. And you could create promotional stuff with Camelback. So you can actually ostensibly link their corporate identity with Camelbacks. It looks quite different in the market. So I was surprised to see that. And the other thing, so I did a ton of research on it, discovered that most of them are using pad printers, obviously laser engravers, and doing screen printing, but a number of them are also doing digital, what are they called?
Like UV
Basic.
print.
Say again?
Is it like UV? Like
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So the Rotax digital printers for various, drink bottles and what have you. So it's kind of cool. We just bought a few hundred, can't even remember now, maybe it was 400 drink bottles that have been pad printed with our logo on, just to kind of do as giveaways because we've got a laser engraver here now, just to kind of drop the customer's logo on the other side, just to see if we can push promotion that way and see if that works. But yeah, I'm quite excited about it, but we'll see whether it's of any use.
yeah, quite surprisingly hard, I guess. Like, or just it's just so many people doing it, but and people don't really. Yeah, it's just trying to educate that we also do that. But
Yeah.
like you said, it is a good little add-on there for the money on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. They did have a minimum sales quota. You had to spend 20 grand with them a year. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're with the same place.
Yeah, right.
It's
Okay.
it's hard because everything's so bloody cheap. You got to
Yes.
sell a lot of stuff to. Gosh,
Crazy.
so I've been punched at the last couple of months, and it's like,
But
doesn't look
that's
that
back to
great.
your point about you got to choose the right products, you know. Yeah, okay. Well, we should encourage one another and anyone else out there that's doing that to really give it a good go, and we'll bring some feedback on that. So a couple of other things from me. Oh, one was just a question. You were talking about Print Hustlers, the Printavo podcast. Stephen Ferrig, I've noticed, is with increasing ferocity might be a better word. In the last months, I've noticed he started asking consecutively the standard question: have you ever thought of outsourcing your print work and just, shutting shop in terms of production, just having an in and out warehouse and people to pick and choose and pack and dispatch, and just having a sales team? I have to confess, and I'm really hoping that no one from our team hears this. That's been more attractive to me lately.
Hmm.
You reducing the margin slightly, or maybe even significantly, and actually being a kind of print broker. I'd feel a bit disingenuous about doing that with our customers, but I can see why people do. I
Mm.
can see why Ferrig asks that question all the time, because it's stressful running a print shop. It's fine when everything's fine.
Yeah.
When it goes wrong, ooh, it can be quite scary. Have you ever thought about doing that?
I've
Just
uh
keeping the
I've been
office
thinking
here?
of it, yeah, or just like whether it is worth us getting an auto or that in house, or do we like how many times have we like for ease of setup or running, like how often is it that we actually really need one? I guess like with our current sort of customer base, or are we better off when those jobs do come then outsourcing those ones? I've been doing that a bit more this year. The bigger haven't even been screen printing them in house. I've been setting them out because yeah, like you said, it's good when it's good, but then like you've also got to. I'm the only one that can screen print, I guess.
Yeah, that's the issue there. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the issue. And then if you do get a good screen printer to screen printer, then you've also got to try and make sure they're busy. Or yeah, it's like I've been thinking similar things, just how much we actually do ourselves and how much if we just pick our battles a bit more. If it's easy stuff, we'll just do it. If it's like we had one the other day with sleeves, left chest, back, both sleeves. I was like, no, set it out. And looking at our cost and what it's basically the same. We do it ourselves, or if we send it out.
Mm.
Um, so yeah,
I think
I mean,
if you did have an auto in that space, you wouldn't send it out because
I think you're
it
right.
just does become a lot more cost effective without a doubt. And you can build a team to do that work.
Hmm.
So you wouldn't necessarily need to kind of be doing it yourself. And I feel like that's the benefit, right? Is the output is so much higher. Um, but yeah, I don't know, like in our new building, like I said, we can get 4 autos in there. We won't. We'll have 3 presses, 2 being manual and 1 being the auto. And we'll do a lot of heat pressing as well, which we're currently doing, as I mentioned, with digital transfers. But would I want the headache of running 4 autos, having, 4 teams? That's that's a lot of garments coming in and out, you know. Um, Maybe at that point you get to 2 and say, right, at this point, we need an over spill printer that we can go to. We actually have one that we use now for very particular kinds of prints that would just slow our production down. So that might be a full color screen print on a left chest for a zip up hoodie, for example.
Hmm.
It's a bit of a nightmare printing on an auto when you've got a zip. Um, but have that business model where you say, for example, we're going to get to the stage of 2 autos in terms of full on production, and anything over that will start to outsource to other suppliers,
Hmm.
and decide not to grow any more than that. I think that would be really interesting because eventually you're going to feed one more than the other. And it might be that you end up feeding the external suppliers more than the
Hmm.
internal, or keeping the really precious, complex jobs for yourself, or not, like you say, keeping
Yeah.
the easier ones for yourself and outsourcing the complex ones. Um, I feel like that homogenized model is probably the way to go. But there is that part of me that thinks, we need 3 people, 2 in the office and 1 in the yard. That would be it. We'd
Hmm.
have the same turnover, you know. So yeah, worth thinking about. All right. Let me just say, what else did I have in terms of news? Oh yeah, I mentioned a few sessions ago that we had a customer who was really unhappy about the shade of pink of the Pantone
Oh yeah.
of pink we chose. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we just binned the customer. They sent them back to us.
Ah,
Yeah, suddenly they just arrived. We were like, oh, what's that order there? Because you don't normally get your orders back, right? It's a bit like a bit scary. And we opened it up and went, oh yeah, that's right.
that's
And I
right.
contacted her and said, I told you we wouldn't refund you because they approved the ink and everything. We kept it correct.
Uh-huh.
And they just wrote back and said they don't fit our corporate branding. They're of no use to us. We're not expecting you to pay them back, but they're, yours. And I feel like they were just thumbing their nose at us to make it like so arrogant. Like I think the order was 6 grand. It wasn't like,
Uh-huh.
$500. And I thought, you're just crazy because it was only a tiny bit out. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely, like they sent a photo in the end and they never gave us that initially. It would have been smart. I just think, wow, that's super arrogant, making such a point about it. But anyway, that was something that happened I thought was weird. Um, Question for you. So here's one that came in this week. This sort of thing happens all the time, but the customer gives you a hexadecimal color reference
Mm. Yep.
and says, oh, it's the color of ink, obviously not understanding how this works. What do you do? Like we've got something we do in that scenario. What do you do when a customer does that?
We like Pantone Connect or whatever it is to get whatever the closest Pantone is for ink if we need a Pantone. Um, whatever whatever we do, it's at least it goes through the proof, I guess. That's our like covering our ass because it says like we'd get that for like thread colors and stuff too. There's only so many thread colors to choose from. We pick the whatever's the closest.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, is it for digital transfer screen printing?
No, screen printing.
For
Yeah.
screen print,
Yeah.
we just convert it and then slice it kind of is, and then put it back on them a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Same. What we do is we go to the hex converter. In fact, I think it's on our website. So we just direct them to that and say, look, this is called a hex converter. Check it out. You tell us what Pantone,
Uh-huh.
you know. If they don't come up with a hex, they might say we'd like you know, an off-white cream. I mean, you know, that's just on its way to orange. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
what point does it become a different color? So when they do that, we just go back, say, hey, look, we could choose an ink, but we want to make sure you're happy. We have the whole Pantone book listed on our website.
Okay, that's cool.
Go to it's a PDF, it just opens up and yeah, if anyone wants that, just go send me an email and send it to them to you. And we just get them to tell us the number. And then, you do have that issue though, where, some computer screens are set up better than others in terms of,
Mm.
really dialing them in. Chances are a customer's never going to have that. And also color on a laptop screen because of deflection on the sides. A lot of laptops you can't read so easily from the side, and they can distort the color image
Mm.
dramatically. And then there's the old problem of, your black is my gray kind of thing, subjective differences. So we always try and back it off to them.
If we've been having a few, it seems like for tradies, like this particular blue, bright blue, is really popular at the moment, and we'll get their artwork like in RGB, and then as soon as you send it, like convert it to CMYK, it's
Comes
like
out green or something.
like light blue, like, and then you send it to them, they're like, it's not my color. I'm like, well, mate, there's no there's no light behind this, like,
Yeah.
so that's probably there's actually one job that we've done it. It's a repeat order, but changed DTF suppliers. This one, and I'd say the last one was a bit more accurate, a bit brighter
Mhm.
than our current one, and I'm interested to see how we go with that. But I don't know, like, what you can do. Like, we've had some customers we've just picked through and changed the color completely because it looks a bit more accurate to their RGB color. But that is something we've probably has come up a few more times. It's just that the RGB conversion
Mm.
making a big difference.
And a lot of the time, the customers don't even know what a Pantone is, or they
Mm-hmm.
don't care. I mean, if they've given you a hex, they've got no idea what a Pantone is, right? Like, it's so obvious. And you're dealing with designers that generally don't know what designing and creating output by way of a vector is for our industry. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have a clue about that, which is understandable. But then you occasionally get a designer that really gets it, which is so cool. And so you mentioned with embroidery, you sort of do a match on the thread color. Do customers ever complain about that, or are they generally pretty cool?
We probably take it a bit further than most places do, of making sure they look similar. I think a lot of embroidery places, they'll just like pick whatever is closest off the shelf. We'll buy in a lot more threads than I think most people do. I did a sample for one customer that's a bit more difficult this morning, and we bought thread for them because they seemed a bit more like they're going to kick up a stink about it.
Right.
But we looked, they came to us because the places they went were they messed stuff up, and we saw they brought in samples to the embroideries, whatever, but like the color compared to their logo is totally different. And we did buy in this thread for that because she's a bit more pedantic. But I was thinking, I was like, the last places were far from their actual brand and colors, and then we we had a but we thought this other one wasn't quite close enough, so we just ordered another one in to save the headache. Uh, and I had them next to each other downstairs, basically the same. Like,
All right.
um, but yeah, it is a bit hard. I think most embroideries, orange is orange, blue is blue, and they don't take it as we do, I guess.
You should
But it
really
is
use
hard.
that as a unique selling point, you know. Sadly, it shouldn't be unique, but you
Yeah,
know, that you take the trouble to get that right. Because I think
yeah.
people will generally they'll be concerned with that.
hmm It is, and it's hard to choose a thread color because it sort of depends on, no, look, if you look at like the swatch book, like where the light is, like if that shine is on it, it looks a lot brighter than it probably is, or if it's polyester or rayon. Um, yeah, yeah, it is a bit more, what would you call it? Objective in a
Yeah.
way. Mm,
Subjective, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice. It could be objective. And I
yeah.
guess that's it. And to be blunt, you know, we all like to think we're brilliant at making Pantones, but sometimes you could just get, you know, sometimes I think our team are pretty good at this, but I have seen people here before, you know, if you've got like a Pantone that's got a big chunk of white in it, a bit of green and a black and
hmm
a tiny bit of red,
hmm
you know how critical that tiny bit of red is, you know? And yet if they don't mix that, if they get too much of that on the edge of the container, right, it
Yeah.
doesn't work. But generally we'll spot that and be able to work up that color again without building a new batch,
Okay.
but it, you know, by using the swatch, but it can, as you say, it can be very subjective at the end of the day. But then we need to keep a note of that in case that customer reorders. So
That's
they'll actually make a note
yeah.
of how much more red they put in and they'll write it on
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
container.
Yep.
Yeah. just in case they come back and want to reprint or more or whatever. We keep all of our Pantones on a database in Monday with the actual color reference. This has been a really big plus for us. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them now, but we've really tried to dial that Pantone thing in. But sometimes I think customers don't care, but they'll have an unusual color and we'll say, look, you need to choose a color from this. Sometimes we, a bit like you were saying, we might say to them, oh, we think this is the right Pantone. What do you think? And then we get it, we charge them for it, we make it up, we print it, but I don't think they care. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas some of them will, oh, this is the wrong red, whatever. Or like that lady with
It's certain colors we've got. We like a third of our thread library is like blues. Some reason blues are just
blues, creams, greens. You've got for us with Pantone inks. There are hundreds of those just on their own, you know. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Wonder why that is. Must be a reason. Okay, I want to get on to some listener questions, if that's okay. But before we do, I just want to give a quick shout out to Nathan Winnell, who never fails to email. In case you didn't know, he's Screen Printing Australia. He's a previous guest on this show. Thanks for your encouragement, Nathan. I really, personally, I appreciate it. It's good to...
needed a kick out of our bums to
get going again. Get us going again. For anyone else, feel free to email us. I actually don't, this is terrible. What is the actual email address for the show?
Is it like ASC?
It's the acronym arising from the name of the show. Is that right? The Aussie Screen Printing Club. So you can work that out at ministryshirts.com.au, or you can email me directly on sam@ministryshirts.com.au, or Josh directly. What's your email address again?
Josh@northprint.com.au.
If you want to be on the show, or you have a question or a query or whatever, or you want a shout out for that matter, or you want to, do you know, I've actually got shirts for our show printed. I had these done ages ago. Got all about them. They're sitting right here. Yeah, if you want a t-shirt, let us know. Looks like they're done on stonewashed staples. Nice color. Nice. Yeah, but get in touch, guys, because we do want this to be a community, not just us prattling on. And if you've got a question you want to be on the show, just email us and we will try our best to work out a time.
And don't feel like you're not qualified or anything. No, everyone's been a lot more qualified than I am.
And me.
I think it's all super valuable to see everyone's perspective of things.
Absolutely. It's one big soup, right? And anyone that's been listening to this show for any length of time will know that they're more qualified than us anyway. Well, I speak for myself, but
absolutely.
We just want noise. We want to make, we don't just want noise. That's stupid, but we want to have a conversation, particularly in Australia, around screen printing and the market generally. All right. So listener questions. You ready? What have I got? 4 or 5 here. Heat press foil, gold foil. Ever done it?
No, never done it.
No, me neither. I'd love to. I think the process is pretty straightforward. I mean, I've seen people do it as well, just with normal ink, but you can print a glue.
Oh yeah.
Print a glue and then you drop the foil on, take it over to the heat press, press it, and then you rip the rest of the foil off. I'd love to give it a go just for fun. And I've seen people just do that with plastisol. So they print white base and they just drop the foil on it. Do they cure the ink? No, they probably don't cure the ink. They do it on the press. Otherwise it won't adhere.
And okay. And peel it off while it's on press too? Or...
No. So they put it on. So I'll rephrase that. They print the ink. Pretty sure they take the shirt off. They don't cure it. Or they may partially cure it. They may flash it. slightly, but I'm sure that ink has to still be wet so that the foil adheres to it. So they then put that on a heat press, drop the foil on, press it, and then they rip the rest of the foil off.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone's done that or does that regularly, let us know. Tell us how it's done, because clearly we don't know.
It seems like big thing in like the early or mid 2000s. The foil, I seem to, it's probably like puff. It'll probably come around, be the next big thing next year.
Hmm.
Hopefully not. Sounds like a bit of
Hopefully
a
not.
pain.
So yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it lasts either.
No.
It is what it is. It's tin foil, colored foil, right? Gold or silver or whatever. Do you use kid-sized palettes?
Hmm. Not much. I could probably count on a couple hands the amount of times. Gen Generally, if we have to do kid stuff, yeah, we don't do much, honestly. If it'll usually be the main order being adults, a few kids ones, and then we'll just DTF that because
Yeah, right.
it's not enough to worry about it. But some kids palettes that we've used a few times, yeah.
And how small would you go down to print on?
Ooh.
0?
No, I don't think they're quite small enough for that, to be honest.
But if you're DTFing, surely you'd go down.
Oh,
Yeah,
DTFing. I did some yesterday, like yeah, the whatever age colors, like smallest T, like the 0 to 3 months or whatever.
yeah, right.
Um, did them yesterday. Just a little
Okay.
DTF on there.
It is difficult, that market. We have a rule here, unless it's a super big job worth decent money. If somebody comes on and says they want 5 kids, so we're on the auto, we'll go down to 8. The guys, they can put a 6 on, but they don't like to for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
Tends to stretch. But they'll get an 8 on comfortably on the standard platens. Then we'll drop it onto one of the manuals with smaller platens. But if it's, if it's a one color job, that's no big deal, right? But if it's a multiple color job, we'll do transfers, as you were saying. Or sometimes we'll just create plastisol transfers for the
Okay.
little ones, depending on what it is. But it is frustrating. So our rule is, unless your job's super valuable to us, then you need to have 20 kids. You know what I mean? We're not going to
Mhm.
put 2. It's just not worth messing around. Had one this week. The guys are absolutely furious with us. I've got it right here. Um, Hopefully, I don't know what it is. It's a college blazer, right?
Oh.
Yeah. And on the inside of the blazer,
Oh.
all these names and the year that these people were at the college. So
Oh,
this
in
one,
that blazer, it gets
yeah.
hemmed.
So
Okay.
I'm guessing that maybe they're like house captains or some such thing, and they get to wear the blazer or something at a special event. It gets handed to them with their name printed inside, comes, with the post-it notes. Anyway, it's a local college, so I felt like we ought to help them out. But they came in and were like, "Hey Sam, can you print names on the inside of the jackets?" And we were like, I was like, yeah, we can do that. And I could see my colleague rolling her eyes like, oh no. So Lydia saw it. She said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, it's just a little print job." She just said, "You're doing it." That's
Straight,
you're doing it. Okay.
straight up.
Anyway, that was a funny one. Um, Kid size platens, yep. Platen glue for hoodies. Do you use different platen glue for hoodies? Was the question.
Hmm.
What do you do for that?
Yeah, it is web. It's the only spray. We use water based for the other stuff, but otherwise, we just use that in the green tin.
Where'd you get it from? The web stuff.
Jones.
Oh, okay. I
Mm.
didn't know that. Never tried that. We just clean them more. We use water-based glue here.
Hmm.
We clean them off more often
Okay.
when we're doing hoodies. And in the past, we have used on the manuals, what's it called? It's a PMI platen tape that's double-sided. And if you are replacing it, it's brilliant for hoodies. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's so sticky, but it's not great for tees if you've just replaced it.
Print grip seems to be blowing up a bit at the moment. Yellow, like gel type
I've heard
one.
about that. Yeah. Have you
Mm.
used that?
I've got a sample that Joan sent to me like a year ago, and I've there's only one of them, so I've never put it on. But I'm not even sure if it's the same one. I don't think it's it's like that yellow color that I seem to see everyone using.
Yeah.
But it seems, oh, I guess it seems a bit similar to water-based, like just scrub it off and go. There must be a bit more advantage to it. Maybe it lasts a bit longer without
Yeah.
reapplying.
And you can wipe it off. You can wash it back.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Try that out. Bit late given that we're almost out of hoodie season, but it is a problem for sure. But yeah, for us, we just keep cleaning it. I think, some color hoodies seem to have more fluff on the inside
Mm.
than others. And I think the guys just know that and they're ready to kind of clean them off more quickly.
The annoying, the web is the actual web that it leaves. Like you have to replace your tape afterwards, pretty much, because then you'll have like a rough surface, pretty much for the if you're just doing
Okay.
tees.
These or something.
So I'd say job, then I'll use web. If it's not, I won't worry, and I'll just clean it a bit more often, like you said.
Hmm. Hmm. What is the best mesh for printing halftones? It's a trick question that I think. You want to go on that one first?
I've I've only ever really used these for halftones.
You've only
90T
used what?
yellow, 90Ts.
90s. Yeah, okay.
That's what we've got.
My answer to that is it depends on your LPI and obviously what rip you're creating it with. Because we'd be the same 90s, but if you're going for a larger dot, then you'll get away with a 77. The difficulty we have with 90s, and I'm sure everyone has this, is printing an underbase through it. It can be a real pain in the neck. You end up kind of reducing your ink quite a bit to get a
Mm-hmm.
nice blob of ink through, but then it's not thick enough. Do you know what I mean? It's be a bit of a 50-50 type arrangement. So sometimes we'll drop the underbase down, assuming we can get the dots held on the mesh. But yeah, it depends on your LPI. Do you monitor what you do with your LPI or no? Okay.
We don't do heaps of that hectic type or sim process type stuff, so haven't really got that much experience.
We try to keep our LPI around 45. Have gone down to 30 in circumstances, which isn't especially good, bigger dots.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people like to kind of play around at 60, 65, that kind of level, but feel like you really need to go to CTS for that to get that kind of dot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even with really good inkjet printers on your film, feel like those tiny dots are really going to struggle, even on a 90T. The other thing we do might help answer that question is with a 90T, we make the stencil thicker. So when we're applying emulsion, we make sure we put more emulsion on.
Okay.
Probably do a 2 and 2 or a 2 and 1, whereas often we'll do a 1 and 1 for a 43, which takes more emulsion anyway. But yeah, just so we've got a little bit more ink going through than normal. Last question, listener question. If you could have only one white ink, what would it be? Well, I think most people only have one white ink. Well, I'm sure they have more than one white ink, but they only use one white ink. Do you know what I mean? For
Yeah.
normal cotton-based garments. What would yours be? What would your go-to be?
At the moment, it is Street Fighter 2 cotton. Well, I think it's Will Play. but I really want to try. I've been abused by Jacob Peck. If I don't know if he listens to try a Bolt White. Apparently it's pretty sweet.
There's always a new one, isn't there?
Hmm.
There's always a new one. I think there's a lot of psychology involved in this. Because we've Street Fighter, Wilflex, whatever the Rutland equivalent is. We now use the Union one. I should go and get it because I don't know what it's called. But I feel like whatever one you move to, you go, oh, this is better. And after a while, you go, hey,
Yeah,
let's
time
try a
to
new one. Oh, that one's
start looking
better.
around again.
But they're very much the same. I'm just going to grab it because
Yeah.
I don't want to get it wrong. Oh, yeah, it's a Union Lunar Cotton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guys seem to love that. And got ink all over my hand now. Good one. We mix we mix that up every morning. But yeah, I don't know. Aquaflex is the one a lot of people are pushing at the moment. It's water-based ink, but people
Mhm.
use it as an underbase for Plastisol as well.
Right.
That's very smooth. You do a bit of water-based, don't you?
I have tried it, but yeah, not much.
How much?
No.
Yeah.
We're just playing for that. It's it stresses me out. I'm scared I'm gonna take too long to do something and then it's gonna dry on my screen and we're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
I
It
think
is
my setup's
stressful.
too crappy to do that.
I know, I
Takes too
think
long.
everyone suffers from it. Mean, obviously some people absolutely love it, but I think it's stressful running with water base.
Mm.
When we move to the new place, I'm hoping to do a lot more personal projects around screen printing, so which I run on the manual. I was thinking the other day I'd quite like to go back and experiment with water based again.
Hmm.
But I can see myself after a day or two of doing that going, this is a stupid idea. I'll go back to print.
I think
But
the most water base I've used is for not on actual garments. I did a massive run of like the printed bags before. Use water base for that. That's probably
yeah,
the most I've ever used it.
yeah, okay. Have you ever put DTF transfers on tote bags?
No, I haven't. Oh, actually, yes, I've Velflex on tote bags before.
I go, okay.
Yeah, they seem fine. I
Yeah,
didn't do them actually, but they seem fine for
yeah.
everyone else who did it.
Well, that's good. Um, all right. Well, they're the listener questions. Thanks so much for those, folks. Appreciate them. I think that's all I got from my end this time. How about yourself? Anything else you wanted to add or ask?
Oh, I guess with the UK part of Ministry of Shirts, is that something you are uh sort of like partnering in? So is it a bit more like standing on its own feet almost?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're helping bankroll it
Hmm.
in the form of a loan that's obviously repayable. There's a risk involved in that. If it doesn't
Hmm.
work out, it's our loss. Um, but Paul in particular is also investing in it. It's his, in the sense that he owns the business. I've done this several times in different, not in this business, but in other business types, particularly in the US and the UK. And it's actually really hard to run, even in that short distance between the UK and the US. And there's always a problem. So if I was younger, I probably would go and set it up and run both.
Hmm.
Just get a good manager there or something. But I'm too long in the tooth. I think the brand's very strong. I'm keen to see how it works. I love business, as you know, and I love starting and trying this and trying that and seeing if we can make things work. So it's a loan, it's repayable. It's our risk if it fails. There's not a huge pressure on him. I think he feels quite pressured about it, but I said, look, it takes you a few years to pay it back. Don't worry about it. Um, And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Don't want to lose a
Mhm.
friend here. Generally, I never enter into business with friends. I never employ friends. Sometimes the employees become friends, but that's a
Yeah.
different started in a different place because it doesn't work out. This one's a bit different. So, but our brand is under license. So the IP is obviously still owned by the parent company, or not by the parent company, by us here. And so I can, leverage that if I need to in the future. But I'm not interested in making money. I'm really interested in, I am interested in making money. That's what we do. But I'm not trying to, pull the ring out of it in the UK. I'm trying to start a business that will help friend and family. Our brand's there. We can leverage that later if we need to under license, perhaps, or for
Mhm.
sale, that kind of thing. Yeah, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, for me personally, to invest in a partnership or to own a percentage of that company will require too much of my time and energy and effort.
Mhm.
And Paul is an artisan. Um, he's married to a doctor just like me, so we have a lot in common and we're always swapping stories. But this is his first, he's run one other business before, but it's very different. This is his first foray into this, and I really want to encourage him and help him. And I don't really want to kind of tread on his toes too much, right? To let him have free reign. But I'm the support dude, so he's going to need a lot of support as things kick in, as custom comes in, until he really gets the knack of it. And hopefully it'll work out. But yeah, that's the arrangement currently.
Quite different, um, set, like, I guess, uh, the way that, because you didn't do any of this type of thing when you were in the UK, did you?
Screen screen printing.
Yeah.
Oh no, didn't do
No.
anything. No, my
Is that,
background. Sorry, go on.
oh, yeah, sorry. Is there the market quite different to Australia, or like how you price things, or
The pricing, obviously different rates, but the pricing model is the same. So AS Color, because we're now officially no, I won't boast about it, it's pointless, but we got a good reputation with AS Color. And so they open an account at top tier in the UK for us straight away, which is
okay.
quite amazing. And we've got communication with the guys there, same with Supercolor and some of the other vendors. And so that was good. He could leverage off of our presence here and our relationship with those manufacturers. Um, and the pricing model, the way we're structuring the pricing is the same.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, and I know Josh, you'll probably roll your eyes on this because you might feel differently about it. We've spoken about this before, but um, we don't sit here and measure every hour and every cost for this, that, and the other. We know what it costs an hour as it happens, but we're looking at the kind of global picture on cost. And we have a minimum amount that we like to make per garment. I'm hoping with a promo model that it might be per product. So across all of the products we do. I think that'll work in the UK. That's the way we've structured it at the moment. But we're only running 4 or 5 lines there. It's very small and it's super color.
Mhm.
I think, like I said before, he will probably end up going to do some screen printing as well. So we'll see. On the market there, I think it's very mature.
Mhm.
I don't, this might sound a bit strange because it's obviously been around as long as it's been around here and the US, but I don't think the British market is quite as mature as America. And I think that's partly because, Britain as a culture has been, it's less so now, very conservative in its business model. It's had a very high pound. It's traded off of that really well in certain sectors. But for export, it's never been strong because of that high pound. Whereas
Mhm.
America's dollar it moves around, but the cost of labor's fraction compared to the UK or Australia. So, but I think it's mature in terms of there being a lot of screen printers,
Okay.
obviously quite a big demand. So we'll see how it goes. It might be
Mm.
very small. It might take a while to get to, I don't know, 100 grand or whatever, half a mil. The businesses I've run before have been in technologies and consulting. And my experience was around leveraging those companies to raise capital to build other companies. And we've done that in South Africa, in India, in China, over here as well before I moved here, and in the US. And so the last big company I ran was called Icon IT, which is an IT company, started in the 90s when IT was a vertical market. I won't bore you with all the stuff, but invested heavily in technology and then leveraged that to raise capital to build companies in America in the same sector. So back
Okay.
then we were working with a company called Lucent Technologies, Microsoft, Apple, and working with big merchant banks, Shersham and Lehman Brothers as it was back then, and Horgavet, Security Pacific, GE Capital, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, those types of people, running up to 2000 with the dot-com explosion.
Mm.
So Icon IT owned a number of, well, two other companies in the US and another company in the UK as a group, and raised capital to develop certain types of software at the time. So I've seen how that works, and it's always messy. You know, you draw, you go to a whiteboard and you draw, you know, a flat structure of, you know, big fat company at the top, all these other little company, you know, but it's nothing like that in reality. It's a complete nightmare, and there are lots of tax issues around how to run those things that are problematic. Anyway, I sold up out of all of that and went into consulting at that point. I went into raising money for other companies as a consultant,
Mm-hmm.
because those people are quite hard to find, and raised some money in China and Africa and in the UK, and helped those companies get established. I liked that because it was sort of like you ran your own company as a consulting firm, but you were on a gig where you were trying to help someone else start something and get their capital together, and then you could leave, right?
Mm.
Didn't have to do the delivery part. But I mean, I kind of miss that as well, because that's nice, but it's always full of headaches, and you just got sucked to the next job and the next job. And I did a big one in Toronto, and yeah, that was very successful. But it was still nice to kind of come away. And they're jobs that you might raise 150 grand, you might raise 150 million. Like
Okay.
it's massive spectrum. Um, yeah, and I enjoyed doing that, but I, you know, eventually sold up. Over here, I was doing something a bit different in consulting in the digital economy with the federal government, and then I sold that as well. So I know, and I've done a couple of partnerships, and it just, for me, it just never works out. There's always a big misunderstanding, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You said this, well, no, I didn't. I said that, you know, that kind of thing. Um, and also, if someone is starting out in business, they always have this simplistic idea that, well, I'm going to invest $1 and I'm going to be a billionaire by Friday. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's much harder than people think to get anything going. So yeah, so I think Paul will do well. We'll see. I'll give you an update as we go through. Um, and it's exciting. It's exciting for him, but for
Yeah.
him to jump on a plane and travel right over here, you know, is a big deal. He absolutely loved Australia, as I do, and I dare say I was a brilliant advocate for Australia, actually. But after day one, he was sort of on the phone to his wife talking about moving over. So I was like, hang
Come
on a
back to
minute.
the Ministry of Shirts Australia.
Yeah, exactly. It's not part of the plan. But yeah, yeah. All right. Anything else before we go?
I'm excited to see how that, yeah, and out something very different, I think. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. Well, good to chat. Thanks to everyone who supports us online. We don't have sponsors. apart from no one approached. Well, that's not true. One person did approach us for a sponsorship. We don't want to do that. We sponsor this ourselves. Doesn't cost a lot of money, to be honest. So, but we also don't want to go on and on about one particular manufacturer all the time. So yeah, thanks a lot for your support. Thanks for watching. Send in your emails. If you want to be on the show, let us know. And hopefully it won't be too long till the next one.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy. We'll catch you later.
Cheers. Thanks, Sam. Thanks.